Hello and welcome back to FlowState. Thanks so much for dropping in with me today. I hope you're feeling energized, full of presence and power. Today we're on the north coast of Tenerife, exploring a relatively new location for us along the north tip of the island, in an area called Punta del Hidalgo. And we've been here once, so I figured we could take advantage of coming back. It's so beautiful and relatively flat, so it gives me a little break to rest from an intense training session yesterday. This is such an incredible location, and this valley over here, this barranco essentially, was explored maybe 3-4 weeks ago by me, and I did a video on it. It was pretty cool. It's an intense walk up. We were all the way up to those peaks over there. It's pretty epic. Today, I'd like to officially announce an ongoing project, which I hope you will take full advantage of, which is group live coaching on YouTube. So in an effort to connect with more people and to be able to provide actionable strategies as it relates to their unique life situation, I am going to be inviting people to join me in a group coaching session. So you can check the show notes, the description below, to pre-register for that. It'll be a simple form that you'll fill out, and that will then trigger an email that you'll receive to get all the details on it. Now, I'm going to be doing this on an ongoing basis. This is something that we're doing already inside the Growth Blueprint, and if you're keen to find out more, there's some information in the show notes as well. Today, I'm interested in talking about the idea of presence, the idea of how we can navigate this feeling of what it means to attach meaning to the identity of being stuck, and how presence comes into play to being able to alleviate some of that pressure, to understand what our motives are within the context of motivation, to be able to propel us forward in a meaningful way. And if we realize that we're being propelled in a direction that is not serving our interests, then how we can leverage certain tools and modalities to be able to course correct as quickly as possible. I've spoken about this before, the concept of how quickly can we recover from any unconscious state to a conscious state, and how this can apply to all aspects of our life, whether it's personal, a goal-oriented process, let's say in the health and wellness space, business, social dynamics. There are so many opportunities in life that we can leverage to get clear on what our motives are and use that information to be introspective and analyze our situation to be able to make the appropriate next move, or at least map out where we're looking to go. And I'm dealing with this in this moment, building this coaching and guidance practice with the intention of being able to impact the lives of as many people as possible. This is the purpose behind every action I take, whether it's something that I can use in my personal life, with my family, my wife, the relationships that I have with my friends and family, whether it's moving the needle forward in a meaningful way with regards to trying to make a positive impact in the lives of people that need my support, that need support in general. It has less to do about my influence and more to do with showing a path within the context of a dialogue with someone to guide them and to coach them to bridge the gap from where they are currently to where they would like to go. And I know that we've spoken about this before, but to clarify, my particular flavor is essentially a hybrid model of guidance and coaching. So there are key distinctions between the two modalities. A coach is an individual who really pushes through systems, through a curriculum to be able to have conversations based on a certain structure to be able to close the gap in a way that is going to make meaningful progress for the client. A guide, on the other hand, I see as more of a philosophical narrative between the guide and the client, where there's less a process of influence and more about being a mirror for insight and introspection, so that the client can then understand in a deeper, more robust way the answers that are already within. And so this is such a beautiful hybrid approach because it leverages systems and structure to be able to create a framework for people to leverage and live inside, and then also have broader, more nuanced conversations as it relates to higher level, more abstract philosophical things that are just as relevant in one's life to being able to make better decisions, to be more present, to be more focused, and really reflecting back to people what it is that they're saying in a unique way, which is my unique way. And so aligning yourself with someone who can support you in that way, just like aligning yourself with a good physician, a good therapist, if that's something that you've explored in the past or are looking to, it's so important to have a vibe, a connection with those people, because you're really looking for that genuine, authentic support and that rapport that brings you closer together in a way that is directly correlated to supporting what it is that you're looking to do. So as a coach, it sounds a little weird, but we can be friendly, but I am not your friend. And I think it's an important distinction because you don't talk to me the way you talk to your friends, nor should you. And I don't speak to you the way I speak to my friends, and nor should I. Because there's an opportunity that exists when things get too comfortable, too friendly, where we can get stuck in this feeling of essentially this like perpetual feedback loop that doesn't actually move the needle forward in a meaningful way. I'm paid to push, or in this context, promoting a group coaching, which is at no cost to you. I am pushing because you are in need of that motivation, that push to be able to take action in a way. And so I bring up the word motivation. You need to understand what the motive is in order to have motivation. Because if you're not clear on why you're doing something, you'll never actually sink your teeth into it in the way that is going to resonate with you in a profound, actionable way, where you are not dependent on your feelings as a catalyst to take action. That's so important. And this has taken me a while to really figure out, or at least it did, to understand why we do the things that we do. And then once we get clear on this, it's so much easier to negate how we feel about that thing or our current state in order to take action. I've spoken about this before, And I think it's one of the most powerful things that we can do to formulate a system for ourselves that is independent of how we feel about it. Because we've done the work, we've laid out the map, and taking action shouldn't be contingent on the way you feel about it. Now, I also know that part of what we all need to do is summon the best of what we have to offer. So that does involve us priming our body, our mind, to being able to channel the best of what we have to show up in a way that's clear, that's powerful, that's full of vitality and energy. And living in alignment with these principles should be a priority for you. Health and wellness is not something that should be overlooked. Rest and recovery is at the forefront of that. And it is not just about resting after an intense training session, it's all of these next key factors. The quality of your relationships, not just your family dynamic, but your personal social relationships. How much time do you spend on the phone, texting, communicating to people who have been there for you, who you love unconditionally, who throw support at you when you need it? You need to be there for them just as much as they are for you. And I know that the imbalance can sometimes feel like you're the one always reaching out. You're the one always initiating lunch or dinner or let's go on a trip. And it can feel unfair sometimes, and it can feel out of balance with the amount of effort that is required in order to do these things. And so within that, I would propose that it's like people who tend to reach out more than those who tend to receive the invitations more. It's not a question of they don't appreciate the value of the relationship, that they feel like the individuals who constantly are reaching out are not always reciprocating in the way that the other individual is. And I have to say that this concept of balance in relationships doesn't always equal what we assume to be the basis for why they're behaving that way. And life is complicated. People are constantly trying to just handle life as opposed to grabbing life by the balls with conviction and clarity, which is what we train for in the Growth Blueprint, which is what we practice. And getting clear on this really does propel you into a different category of being, because it's not just about taking action, it's being intentional with our actions, having put thought into why we're doing what we're doing, what the motive is behind our actions. And it can feel messy and disjointed at times. And it's so hard to really understand what's going on within the minds of the people that we love so much without expressing our own feelings to them in a very clear and an empowered way. So part of what I have done in my life to incorporate this is simply expressing my needs through communication as the catalyst for reaching out to people. So in other words, reaching out to a good friend, hey, I need to talk with you. We haven't spoken in a while. I feel disconnected from our relationship and I need to have a conversation with you. Wow, that is so clear. That's so powerful. That's direct. That's to the point. It's not about any other motive than the thing that I just expressed. If it is about another motive, then one needs to express that in a way that's clear, direct, and without judgment or labeling. You always operate from a power position when you lead from your needs and when you're clear, when you're direct, when you don't label and you don't analyze other people and their behavior. It's always best to approach this type of communication from a place of love, from a place of understanding, without judgment, without analysis. Because when we start judging, when we start comparing, when we start analyzing, we get confused as to what our needs are, and getting clear on that is really a powerful tool to up-leveling the quality of your communication. So we can apply this concept to all aspects of our life, whether it's in the workforce, at-home family dynamics, relationships, struggles that we're in the process of navigating, whether you're dealing with your children, whether you're dealing with a workplace situation. It's about leveraging clarity to better communicate. So understanding motives to be able to generate motivation within us is also a powerful, I'm gonna just hold on here. It's grinding away, grinding away. So understanding motives, the motive behind why we do what we do in all aspects of life requires us to be more intentional, more present with our mind, our body, our spirit, our thinking, really leaning into the things that are serving us and releasing the things that are not. And to me, I always look at the opportunity for growth within every context of everything that I do, whether it's learning from little hiccups that kind of trigger an emotion within me and understanding, well, what is it, why is it, and what is it that I'm feeling about this context and this situation, and learning from the gaps in between. Because so often when we are in a place of regulation of like, well, so something happens and then we get triggered in a way, and reclaiming our power as quickly as possible is the practice. And so within that practice, you have a gap, you have space, you have a moment of zen or clarity. And then it's fleeting sometimes. It can pop in, and to not take action on it often ends up in inaction, which to me is not a place that we want to be in. We want to be in a place of constant action. And sometimes just the conscious shift from, wait a second, I need a pause here, and let things sit, is taking action. It may not seem like you're doing anything, but you are, because when you're bringing your conscious mind to the forefront of what it is that you're doing, you're bringing presence and intention to that context, right? And so if that means that you then are taking action to slow down, to regulate your breath, to change your state, to look at things differently, then that's taking action. And to me, someone who takes action even in the wrong direction but then course corrects is better than stagnation. Stagnation is the removal of consciousness and intended alignment with motive, or why you're doing what you're doing, and coupling that with time. And so inaction can yield a day of not doing anything that's intentional, 2 days, a week, a month, and then you blink your eyes, all this time has gone by, and all of these things that you set out to do haven't been done yet. Or you got distracted. You got distracted with doing things that are not in alignment with what you set out to do. I was listening to Brendan Burchard talk about distraction recently, and I believe that the statistic was something like, this is US data, that on average people spend, I think it was like an hour or 2 hours per day on social media or Netflix, whatever. And the way he discussed this, which I find to be quite interesting, is that if you take all that time and you compound it into a total block, it equals to more or less a month. So in our calendar system, there's 12 months in a year. What if you were able to generate another month of time based on how you regulated your focus, clarity, and as a byproduct, were less distracted? That is crazy powerful shit. That's another month that you can allocate to investing in spending time with your family. That's another month that you could invest in your business. That's another month that you can invest in your health and wellness practice, making sure that you're adequately recharged to fucking seize the day. It is so mind-blowing how distracted we are as a society and how much time just evaporates. Get clear on this. We have such a small amount of time to experience life in its richness and glory. And being out of alignment with what we have laid out for ourselves in terms of purposeful living is a distraction to being able to achieve our goals and our ambition. And getting clear on the motive behind why we're doing these things really recalibrates our brain into understanding that when we slip off into distraction, how important it is to reclaim that power and how to take back ownership over our time. One of the things that I address in the Growth Blueprint is time management and prioritization. Understanding how to properly leverage time is a mechanism for you to be able to slow time down and to create more time within your 24-hour day cycle. This is massive. This is at the forefront of being someone in alignment with high performance. Dealing with individuals who have high ambition and have a deep desire within them to be able to have an impact on the world, you need to be in alignment with how you manage and allocate your time. One of the modalities that we discuss in the Growth Blueprint is about the differences between structures like to-do lists and time blocking. So I have a hybrid approach to this, which I teach, and it's essentially fusing the two concepts together, where we're using time blocking and allocating specific amounts of time for tasks. And the more we do this, the more proficient we become. And the more proficient we become, the better we are at understanding how to properly allocate time. So one example of this is managing your inbox and general communication. So, for example, I have a predetermined amount of time that I allocate to managing my inbox. It's part of a greater time blocking strategy, but within that communication time blocking, I have emails, I have iMessages, WhatsApps, DMs, phone calls. And so I space this out throughout the day. So I allocate time in the morning to review my inbox. And I go through this very quickly. Most of it is just deleting shit or unsubscribing to things that are no longer serving me. And this is more about a strategic implementation of a motive behind managing time than anything. I got a little sidetracked there, but it's about creating an opportunity to be able to handle first principle priorities. And your morning is your greatest asset after you've fully activated your body and your mind and all this, not just wake up and check your inbox. That's crazy behavior, in my opinion, unless you are required to for one reason or another. But the purpose of what I'm saying is structuring your tasks within a certain amount of time gives you a criteria in which you have to be focused. And using this to create opportunity for you to go through these processes, and then earmarking when you're going to respond to these emails, but at a different scheduled time. Now, this is important because most things are not crisis emergencies. Most things are not things that need to be responded to immediately. And if they are, you've allocated time in that first chunk to be able to get clear on what your inbox looks like, what the priorities are, and there may be none for the day. But you go through your communications in a specific framework to be able to address high-level important things that need your attention immediately. And if they do, you prioritize the way in which you respond to them in accordance with your time blocking schedule later in the day. Obviously, something needs your attention in the immediate, you address it and you take action and you move on. Same thing with your WhatsApp messages, your communications, all communications. You address the things that are required for your attention in that moment, and then you move on to the next thing. So for me, I allocate about a half an hour to this in the morning, and then I leave space in the afternoon for revisiting that. And so what this does is it sets a frame that is bookended by a specific amount of time. So I say 30 minutes in the morning. And if I accomplish this, because my inbox is not requiring my attention, so I go through it every day regardless, because inbox zero is something that I'm a big fan of, because it alleviates mental anxiety and stress that is clouding your ability to see things more clearly when you have all this extra stuff that you don't really need. It's just clutter. It's like having a desk full of shit that is not serving calm, is not serving the intentionality behind your focus at that station. So sometimes when I do get everything done, I just have the capacity within my calendar to be able to move things around in a more dynamic way that just bumps up everything else. And so my priority is to adhere to the best of my ability the daily outline and structure that I've laid out, with buffer room, with movement breaks, with health and wellness practice, with when I'm eating, when I'm spending time with my family, when I'm doing other things. I look at my calendar as essentially a massive grid of different colors. And the way I like to approach it is that everything should have something attached to it. Large, massive 5 or 8 hour or 12-hour blocks of time, if that's what the activity is. For example, FlowState, I'm recording FlowState, so I include, oh, look at this dog, it's amazing. Whoa, it's taking a shit. Crazy. So cool. It's like a Bob Marley dog. So, for example, FlowState right now, I allocate the entirety of the time. So that includes driving, the whole thing, to and from the activity itself. And I do this intentionally because when I reflect on my past week, I'm able to see exactly how much time I've spent on all the things that I was doing. And you must also be honest with yourself about something. You need to not use this as an opportunity to rewrite history in terms of what happened, but use it as a tool for reflection so that you know how much time you're investing in the various quadrants of your life. And in the assessment and readiness check course that we have as part of the growth blueprint, we look at the foundational pillars of your life, the approach to understanding career and purpose, your health and wellness, your family, and the aspects of your life that are all interconnected. It's an interconnected ecosystem, a life ecosystem that in order to be thriving, these things need to be in alignment with one another. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. You're only as dialed in as your capacity to have everything be in balance and in harmony with one another. On the way back now. So, leveraging your inner ecosystem to understand how you're allocating your time through a 24-hour clock time schedule is so powerful because it's a visual representation of how you structured your day and your week. And then when you look back on the past month, you have a really clear understanding of where you invested your time and how that management of your time is impacting the output of what you're looking to do. So if you blink and you're like, oh man, it's been a month, I had all this stuff that I wanted to do, but I didn't get to any of it, well, you have a clear reflection guide as to where you spent and invested your time, how you allocated your time. So I'll use this as an example. Let's say you have this personal project that you're looking to make meaningful progress on, okay? It's a painting project, let's just say. So it could be, anything. It could be like, I want to spend more time in the kitchen. I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to be learning how to play the guitar. So if this is something that's really important to you, then it needs to be prioritized in your calendar. You need to see the fucking thing. You need to commit to doing it. And so there's two things I'll say about this. One is your week should be planned out in advance. You should have a rough sketch of the things that you're doing. And being dynamic with this structure is the most powerful thing that you can set out with intention. It's not to say that you have to be so rigid and all this. It's a dynamic tool that you can retroactively modify. I do this all the time. When I get back home, I will drag the FlowState block to exactly when I got back home. And then I will move the rest, recovery, and lunch block according to when I'm going to be doing that. So I'm going to start that could be a 2-hour block of time. Shower, rest, recovery, prepare my lunch, chill out for a minute. That could be 2 hours. So in my calendar, I delineate when I wake up, when I have breakfast, my good morning block of time, which I always do the same things. Sometimes that block of time is 4 hours, sometimes it's 1 hour, sometimes it's 30 minutes. But it's looking at it from an objective perspective and saying, this is how much time I spent on this. And then using these entries to be able to leverage as an active journal. So in the time space, it's not just, let's say, flow state. It's what is it that I did during that time? I drove to Punta del Hidalgo. I did a 20-minute preparation flow. I recorded my podcast, and then I drove home. Bam. That's clear. And it's not something that needs to be complicated. It's not, you can make it as in-depth as you want. So this is part of my journaling practice. This is an active journal. And your calendar is something that you should be leveraging constantly. And there are so many apps, there are so many tools that you can use. And I'm not here to talk about any one tool. I happen to use the Reminders app and the Calendar app on Apple, and that works for me. And so, I have them on a full screen view, split screen, the reminders on the left, just one column, and then the calendar that takes up the majority of it. And I'm constantly moving things around because it locks me in, it grounds me to what my intention is for that particular day and week and month. It's a very powerful thing to be able to see mapped out. The other thing I will say is leveraging different calendars. So for example, I have, 12 different calendars that are intentional in their purpose. So I have a calendar, for example, that's a shared calendar with my wife called Health and Wellness, and it's color coded, whatever color you want. So mine is orange. So we block out movement breaks, we block out when we're going to the gym, and so that we have this non-negotiable that is locked into our day. And certainly it can move. So let's say we had planned to go, and we're pretty consistent about it. We leave the house at noon, and there's like a total of 3 hours that's blocked out for that. But that also includes driving to and from the gym, doing the actual workout, and then, well, that's basically it. So there's always a gap. There are gaps in the calendar so that you can be more dynamic with adjusting how much time it actually takes you. So when I leave the house, if it's exactly at noon, for example, or whatever the time is that I've allocated, then there's nothing to be done. You go do the thing, and then when we finish training, for example, if we go to the grocery store afterwards, I'll add a new entry in saying grocery store at 2:10. And then when we arrive back at the house, I will bookend the grocery and gym block all together, just to delineate in my mind, this is how much time it took from beginning to end of that scheduled time, whatever the activity is. Same thing with anything that you do on a regular basis. So another strategy is having a daily calendar of tasks that are, or blocks of time that are being repeated on an ongoing basis. So my good morning routine, my evening wind down routine, starting these at the consistent time that I've set out is really powerful because you can see visually how your day is going to unfold. And it's so easy to leverage these tools. You create the entry, bedtime, wind down, good morning, and then you can add notes to these entries. If there's things that require technology, then you can use various scripts that are built into Apple to be able to do these automations. So powerful. And if you have HomeKit integrated into your house, then you can have things trigger automatically. And I'll just run you through this just as a concept to be able to have a little perspective on what is possible. In our old house here, I had integrated all of these smart lights with full spectrum color light bulbs. I was using the IKEA products. And I connected everything. I mean, it's like, it sounds complicated, but it couldn't be easier to do. I mean, it literally is fucking screw in the light bulb, pair a little remote to it, and then you have something that you plug into your router so everything is connected, and you use the HomeKit app on your phone. So simple. So every morning, I was getting up really early in the morning during this season, and so all the lights in the living room and in the kitchen would turn on to the most dimmed setting in red at, what was it? It was like 4:45, because I wanted everything on before I was awake. So sometimes I would wake up right there, or 5, whatever. It's just to be like, so you're not fucking around with turning on lights. The space is welcoming, it's already all set up, it's been cleaned the night before, It's ready to receive you and your energy in that current state. So I would wake up and there would be a pre-programmed system that, which was, I thought, pretty cool, which would coordinate with the sunrise. And so this was in winter when I was doing this. So the sun was getting up a little bit later in the morning, and I color matched the lights and brightness in accordance with a sunrise sequence that would then automatically trigger based on when the sun would rise. So this changed throughout the year, but it was done automatically because it was all set to sunrise, sunset. And the same thing would happen at night. The night is approaching, the lights would dim, and then everything shuts off at whatever time it was, like, 10:30 or something. And so certainly there were times when we were up and partying and doing whatever, and then so you just turn the lights back on when they turn off. It's no big deal. But for the most part, it's a system that served me well. It's one less thing to think about. It's automated and it runs. So I also did this with music, where in the morning it would start playing a specific Spotify playlist that I had curated, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was such a dream and such an easy thing to implement with very little upfront cost, with tremendous long-term payout. And integrating systems within your life to be able to amplify the human experience is a learned skill that really enables you to leverage your motive behind the intention of how you're looking to live your life, and to be able to amplify your efforts so that you can accomplish more, be less distracted, have more time throughout your day to do and allocate however you want. So you learn about all this structuring in the time management prioritization course within the Growth Blueprint. If you're interested in learning more about it, you can check the description for the link. It's on School, and there's so much more to discuss within this context, but on the surface, it's about being in alignment with your motives, leveraging presence as much as possible, and being less distracted. If you think about it, we're constantly being pulled in different directions from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Cultural distractions, right, with technology that isn't necessarily serving our interests, all these various apps that you can use on your phone, TV. If you live in a city and you're going outside constantly, you're being inundated with information, and it's super difficult to stay focused. And he's like, Eric, I don't have a problem with distraction. I'm laser focused. Well, my challenge to you would be to, over the next 30 days, look at your calendar and be extremely intentional with your calendar. Map out exactly what you're doing from every moment within that 24-hour cycle. So there should be nothing but colors representing different things that you're doing within your day. And it may seem tedious and it may seem like a lot of work, but it isn't. After you get it set up, which takes less than an hour if you're really granular about it. I mean, you can do this much faster as well. but let's say you allocate 1 hour of time and you create your calendar. So you have one for health and wellness, one for your general work tasks. So for example, like I have multiple businesses, everyday action is in blue, where my art related business is in yellow. So when I'm working on something that is pertaining to the relevant business, I'll color code it using that calendar, so I know how much time I'm spending on one thing versus another. Same thing with family life. Same thing with, we have a calendar, a shared calendar called Fun, where we have our date nights on there. 2 nights a week we go dancing, my wife and I, with a group. Super fun. Plus we have programmed all of the extracurricular activities in there. So friends having barbecue, we got invited to parties or whatever, we put it on the calendar, and whether we go to it or not, it doesn't matter, it's scheduled. So just because it's on there doesn't mean that it's the thing that you're doing in that moment, and you can always modify it. That's the thing, be dynamic. Look to be as dynamic as possible within this, but use it as an opportunity for reflection, an opportunity for learned growth, pursuing personal structure and development in an organized and structured way, so that you have clarity, you have motive, you have intention, you have presence, and ultimately you have fucking command of your life and how you are investing your time without distraction. This is massively important to leveraging all of the things that you want out of life. If you don't measure it, okay, it's as if nothing ever happened. Where attention goes, energy flows. And I'll come back to this. Let's say in an example, it's important that you invest more time in your family. So allocate it in your calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, it's not a priority to you. Now, if you don't use a calendar, you may consider starting to use one for all of the reasons I just laid out. And if you're trying to accomplish something over the next 30 days, over the next 3 months, put it in a calendar, measure it, understand where your energy is going, where your attention is going. Get really crystal clear on this. This has served me tremendously well, and without this structure of operating, without being able to be introspective and reflective in how I've been managing my time, there's no way I would have been making as meaningful progress and achieving the goals in my life that I have done. And I continue to do so because it works. The system works. Being accountable to your actions in a way that you check in on yourself consistently is a constant reminder of nudging you in this direction or that direction. Give it a try. It's something that I think you will find to be extremely powerful, and report back. Give yourself 30 days of doing this practice and watch how your life changes. 30 days of being accountable to yourself in a way that's locking in your monthly aspirations, what you absolutely need to get done, blocking out your non-negotiables. Health and wellness should be allocated to some amount of time every day in one form or another. Family time, if you have a family, deepening relationships, social things, work priorities, allocating enough time for sleep, rest, and recovery. These are all fundamentals, but getting clear on the basic shit is the thing that defines and separates the high performers, the people who are living purposefully, with those who are just reacting to everything in life. So powerful. So check the show notes. We're getting close to that 1 hour mark. Systems are the thing that will leverage your desires in accordance with your objectives, and keeping things tight and aligned is the practice of getting clear on the fundamental truths about all of us in life. We need core values to ground us in our actions and our thinking, how we show up for ourselves, how we show up for other people, understanding the power of a growth-oriented mindset fueled by your own energy source, by your vitality, by your power, by a clear focus on motive. Coupled, right? It's motivation. These things are so important and they seem so basic, but we as a society globally have gotten away from this in the Western world. And this is not something I can't speak to any other context, but we are fucking fully distracted as a society. We're unhealthy. We are constantly reacting as opposed to leading and taking charge. And once we get clear on the fundamentals, the pillars that ground us, that guide us, that propel us forward in a meaningful, purpose-driven way, everything becomes clear. Everything becomes within our grasp, our power to control, and to be spontaneous, to be more present, to be more dynamic in our life. But without having a grounding force within the basics, time management, prioritization, aligned action, core values, vitality, tying everything together. Without this, it becomes an uphill battle full of resistance and a mismatch of alignment. Like you think you're working towards something that you want, only to get there and realize that it's not at all the thing that you want. I know so many people that have done this in their life, and they're left wondering where the last 20 years went. Let that sink in. This is not something that you want to be experiencing. Leading your life with intention, with purpose, with presence, slowing time down so you can do these things is a superpower. Having the tools at your disposal to leverage and to actually do the fucking work is a superpower. Disassociating how you feel about something as a motive for taking action is a superpower. These are all basic things, but most people don't get them right, which is why most people are spinning their wheels. But you're not most people, because you're here investing in yourself right now, learning, experiencing, sharing, thinking, reflecting. These are all traits of an individual who's investing in themselves to yield the results that they're looking to achieve in life. Thank you so much for dropping in on this gorgeous day, the north coast of Tenerife, the Atlantic Ocean. Check out the show notes, sign up for the live group coaching, join the Growth Blueprint, take action on your life, seize the day, tap into your vitality. Till next time, Thank you so much for dropping in. Please like, subscribe, share. It really does impact our ability to connect with more people. And especially if you've gotten value from this conversation, I would deeply appreciate your support. Thanks so much for dropping in. See you next time. Woo!